Anime has always gone through generations. In the 80s and 90s, it was Dragon Ball, Slam Dunk, and Yu Yu Hakusho. And now, we're living through a brand new era. A new generation of anime and manga is taking over. Before we get into the new titles, we need to understand why they feel so fresh. Old generation anime thrived on lengthy narratives, clear good versus evil dynamics, and iconic shonen formulas. Dragon Ball introduced world-shaking fights and transformations. Naruto gave us friendship, rivalry, and massive ninja wars. One Piece gave us sprawling adventures across hundreds of episodes. Bleach gave us cool powers, epic fights, and stylish character designs. These shows thrived in an era where audiences had patience for 300-plus episodes, filler arcs, and long training sequences. But today's world is different. Viewers have shorter attention spans, social media drives hype cycles, and people crave stories that feel fresh, unpredictable, and deeply emotional. That's where new-gen anime comes in. They're tighter, more experimental, and more emotionally nuanced. They don't always follow the power-up fight next villain formula. Instead, they mix genres, play with expectations, and often lean into darker or more philosophical themes. Let's start with Dandadan. This manga, and now anime, is often described as pure chaos in the best way possible. At its core, Dandadan is about two teenagers, Frieren, a shy boy obsessed with UFOs, and Momo, a tough girl who believes in ghosts. They argue about what's real, aliens or spirits, only to discover that both are real, and both are terrifying. From there, the story explodes into a mix of sci-fi, horror, romance, and comedy. Dandadan is the perfect example of new gen because it thrives on genre blending. It doesn't sit neatly in one box. It's a love story, a horror series, and a battle manga all at once. The visual style is pure insanity, with alien invasions, yokai fights, and over-the-top action panels that feel like you're on a roller coaster. Yet at the heart of all the madness, it's still about two teenagers figuring out who they are, dealing with insecurities, and growing together. This is classic new-gen energy, taking familiar tropes like romance, high school settings, and supernatural powers, and turning the dial up to 11. Next, we have Gachiakuta. This series feels like a spiritual successor to Naruto or Bleach, but with a sharp new-gen edge. The story follows Ruto, a boy from the slums accused of a crime he didn't commit. He's thrown into a dangerous world of trash and abandoned objects, where discarded things come to life as monsters. Armed with powerful gloves, Ruto fights to survive while uncovering truths about society's corruption. What makes Gachiakuta stand out is how it tackles themes head-on. Unlike older shonen that focused on ninja clans or pirate crews, Gachiakuta digs into themes of inequality, poverty, and justice. Its gritty aesthetic makes the world feel raw, dirty, and alive with sharp energy, perfectly matching the trash world setting. And at its core, it carries the underdog spirit. Just like Naruto being shunned or Ichigo fighting against fate, Ruto embodies rebellion against a system stacked against him. Gachiakuta shows how new-gen anime is darker, more socially conscious, and more willing to explore uncomfortable truths, while still delivering hype battles. On the softer side, we have Frieren, which actually is a masterpiece of new-gen storytelling because of its quiet, reflective tone. Unlike the constant battles of Naruto or Bleach, it thrives on silence, atmosphere, and small emotional moments. It tackles mortality and regret, dealing with themes of grief, memory, and the passage of time in ways rarely seen in mainstream anime. It also subverts fantasy itself. Instead of focusing on slaying demons, it's about cherishing fleeting connections and understanding humanity. This is why Frieren resonates so deeply. It's not about hype fights or power-ups. It's about what happens after the battle, when the swords are sheathed and you're left with only memories. If Frieren is about quiet emotions, Oshi no Ko is about loud secrets. On the surface, it looks like a colorful idol anime, but it's actually one of the darkest, most cutting-edge series of the new gen. The story follows two siblings who are reincarnated as the children of a famous idol. When tragedy strikes, they're thrown into the brutal world of entertainment, full of lies, exploitation, and hidden pain. If you look at Dandadan, Gachiakuta, Frieren, and others like Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Blue Lock, you'll see a clear pattern emerging. These shows are all about genre fusion, mixing horror, romance, sci-fi, and slice of life into one. They thrive on moral ambiguity, where heroes aren't always pure and villains aren't always evil. Chainsaw Man's Denji, for example, doesn't want to be a saint. He just wants a normal life. Their pacing is faster too, with stories that move quickly instead of dragging fights out for 50 episodes. And the themes feel modern, digging into depression, inequality, grief, and existential dread. Even the art is evolving, with bold, experimental panels that push far beyond the clean shonen lines of old. This is anime made for the internet generation. Fast, raw, emotional, and unpredictable. Comparing the old generation to the new really highlights how much things have changed. Old gen anime like Naruto, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Z focused on long arcs that stretched over hundreds of episodes. They relied on clear good versus evil dynamics, training arcs, tournaments, and power levels. Their stories centered on legacy, destiny, and friendship. In contrast, new-gen anime like Dandadan, Gachiakuta, and Frieren use compact storytelling with less filler. Their morality is blurred, their focus is on individuality, trauma, and rebellion, and their stories revolve around identity, emotions, and social critique. It's not that one is better than the other, it's that anime is evolving to fit a new audience. Old gen gave us legends, new gen is giving us raw humanity. Other new-gen titles worth mentioning include Kaiju number 8, a monster fighting story that blends military action with heartfelt character arcs. Blue Lock takes sports anime and makes it feel like Squid Game meets Haikyuu, focusing on ego and survival. Hell's Paradise, or Jigakuraku, is dark, violent, and deeply philosophical. And Undead Unluck thrives on wild creativity, with bizarre powers and world-ending stakes. Each of these shows proves just how diverse new-gen anime really is. It's no longer locked into one formula. The reason fans are latching onto this new era so hard is because these stories reflect the chaotic, uncertain world we live in today. Gachiakuta mirrors global inequality. Frieren explores existential questions. Dandadan embodies the chaos of modern youth. Blue Lock captures the crushing pressure to succeed in competition. These series feel modern because they aren't afraid to be messy, emotional, and brutally honest. We're standing at the start of a new golden age. Just like kids in the 2000s grew up with Naruto and Bleach, kids today will grow up with Dandadan, Gachiakuta, Frieren, and Chainsaw Man. In 10 years, these are the series people will call classics. What do you think about it? Let me know.